Welcome back to another video. My name is Naveed Hussein. I'm a divorce attorney in Chicago. I've been thinking about this concept of institutional racism, where you have institutions in this country that are prejudiced and discriminatory against different races, African Americans, minorities, and things like that. And we all accept that. We all talk about that. We take that as fact. But when it comes to the institutional bias in the court systems, for some reason that's not allowed to be talked about. That's something that cannot be acknowledged. But it is very recent that the court systems have changed from a tender years doctrine, which basically means that the court system thought that mom should be with the child all the time and that the husband is supposed to be the provider. And it's only been a very recent change with no-fault divorce and tender years doctrine and all these different things, maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And the thing is that those remnants are still here. I see it every single day, how biased the court system, the police, the enforcement is biased against men. And I don't know why it is controversial to acknowledge this fact. But when you think about custody, in Illinois, for example, men usually get 23% of the time with their children, which is basically every other weekend. How is that good for children? How is that good for society? Right? When you see orders of protection will be granted by the woman pretty often. But when a man comes and shows evidence of him being abused, slashes on his arm, deep cuts, and bruises on his face, for some reason that doesn't warrant an order of protection. You have court orders where the children are supposed to be with dad for a particular amount of time, and if the mom decides that she's not going to bring the children and he calls the police to enforce that order, most of the time they will keep their hands out and say, sorry, go deal with it in the court system. However, if a woman called the police to enforce a child parentage order or a visitation order, they'd be involved right away. So we see this not only when it comes to child custody, when it comes to the enforcement of orders, but also when it comes to working, when it comes to payments. For example, a man has to provide child support, and of course every man should pay for their children, should be responsible for their expenses. But if you have the other side, right, where the woman is supposed to be paying the man child support, and again, I'm not condoning that. I don't believe that women should have the responsibility to pay for their children. But let's just say in the Western concept, when everybody's equal, when everybody's supposed to be working, when everybody's supposed to have a career, and now we are equal in front of the law, for some reason, judges do not push women to work as much as they push men to work. So much so that if a man cannot find a job, he cannot work due to back pain or whatever other issues there are, he will be put in contempt. He will be imputed a certain amount of income. And again, that same concept and that same push is not there for the women. So again, I don't have anything against women in particular, but what I'm trying to highlight is the bias that is within the court system. Men have an uphill battle in the court system from every single angle, financially, from the child perspective. And I think what we need to do is we need to acknowledge that bias and understand that there is going to be an uphill battle. And mainly I'm talking to the men here, that you have to realize that there is a bias and you have to work extra hard to get that custody, to get a fair resolution in your divorce case when it comes to splitting the assets, when it comes to alimony, when it comes to child support. Let's acknowledge this reality and let's work to change that bias, to change that reality. And I think the best way we can avoid that is actually staying out of these court systems. These court systems are bogged down with hundreds and hundreds of cases. You have judges who hear hundreds of cases. They don't care about you. They don't care about their kids. They want that case done. They want that case over with. And the other lawyers just want to drag on these cases. So men, try to stay out of the court system as much as possible. Try to resolve your differences outside of the court system. Take the sovereignty back to the family and take the sovereignty out of the state. It is not an Islamic paradigm that a state has sovereignty over you and your children. Rather, a family and your own family should have sovereignty over, in, and around and amongst yourselves. So with that, hope to see you later, inshallah. And until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.